Hey there, welcome to Sean Kirkham Music. Today we're going to talk about the M-VAVE or M-VAVE. It's called the Mini Universe. It's a reverb pedal, and we're going to go into details about what all these knobs do and how it works here. So let's hear my clean sound on my guitar, and then we'll get into the effects pedal here. Alright, so today I'm using a Gibson Les Paul classic guitar. I'm going through the effects pedal here into a Lekato 10-watt mini amp or portable amp. It's the S4 Lekato. So it's a portable amp, not a very big amp, but it does give you a nice sound for a little practice amp. Alright, let's get into the M-VAVE Mini Universe pedal here. So at the very top we have a decay button or a decay knob. The next one next to it here is where you actually select your different types of reverb sounds that you want. We have a mix knob all the way to the right. We have a parameter 1 knob, a parameter 2, and a parameter 3. On the back of this system we have a label of what all the parameters do. And it shows you that. So that'd probably be a good idea to take a picture of that, have it someplace handy so you don't have to keep flipping the pedal over and know exactly what parameters or what you want to set the parameters to. At the top for the different types of reverb, we have a room, a hall. The next one after that is plate. We have a spring reverb, a shimmer, the cloud reverb, the blom reverb, the swell, and the lo-fi. So that's the different settings for that middle knob right there. We're going to start off with the room reverb. We're going to have everything at noon, kind of give you a sound, show you what a sound is like for just the room with everything set at noon. So here we go. Here's a clean sound again. We're going to turn the pedal on and we'll hear that room sound. As you hear, it has a pretty long decay, and that's because the decay right now is set to 12 o'clock. We're going to set that down to the 9 o'clock position just to show you it's a little bit shorter. Again, if we had it at the 12 o'clock, you're going to get a little more reverb at the end there. And if we turn it up to the 3 o'clock position, it should be even more. It's pretty long with that. So we're going to turn that back. Actually, we're going to put that probably at the in between the 9 and 12. We're going to leave that as a default setting. We'll let you hear that again on the room. We're going to switch the parameter right now, or sorry, we're going to switch not the parameter, but the reverb type from room to hall. So we're going to turn it one, hang on. That's your room. This is going to be hall. It's a little bigger opening, a little bigger venue, so it's going to have a little more reverb built into it. The next one we have is the plate. So again, gives you a little more of a reverb extension going into it. Next one we have after that is a spring. That one is used a lot in beach music or beach type music. So you hear that type of reverb when they're playing beach type songs or songs you hear that are guitar driven from the 50s and 60s. Next one we're going to hear is the shimmer reverb. So as you hear that, it has a modulation that's going up and down. That's going to be driven by these parameter buttons down here. We're going to move on to the cloud for now. That one has a lot of modulation going in and out from the top to the bottom. It also extends it quite a bit on the cloud. So imagine you're up in the, up in the air, you're free, you're flying in the air, and it's just, you got a lot of space. You don't have any obstacles in your way. Here it is again. Again, you hear that long, long decay from that. You can adjust that with the decay knob here. We're going to turn that down just to show you a little bit less of a reverb here. We're not going to turn it all the way down, but we are going to shut it down just below 9 o'clock. So it's still quite long. We're going to turn this up to see if that makes a difference. It's almost as if that's a reverb that's going to go on and on and on when you have it up at the top position. So if you're looking for a really long reverb at the end or in your music, the cloud is the way to go. We're going to turn that again, probably to about the 10 o'clock position. We're going to move on to the Blom reverb. So that has a little bit less sustain at the end. And if you notice, it also starts to go into upper harmonics at the very end of that sustain. So let's hear it one more time. So that gives a little bit of a harmonic overtone coming into play. Again, that's the Blom reverb. We're going to move on to the swell. So it's a lot shorter on the reverb sustain. It doesn't do much with modulation. It does give you just a little bit of a harmonic overtone. Not much there, just a little bit. You could probably adjust that with your mix as well as the parameter buttons. We're going to move on to the lo-fi, and then we're going to go back and use some of the parameters just to play with it a little bit and get different sounds. So we're going to do lo-fi. This is the last sound on the reverb. If you notice that, there's a lot of reverb when you're continuously strumming. It does cut off very quickly at the end. There's not a whole lot of sustain. It sounds like it adds just a little bit of gain to it, so a little bit of dirt sound to the reverb. Let's hear it one more time. Yes, definitely. The grit is there. The gain sound is a little bit on the higher side with that particular setting. We're going to go back to the room position, and we're going to start playing with some of the parameter buttons and the mix button. So here's the room when we first started. We're going to play with some of the parameter buttons just to see kind of what they're doing here. Let me see if I can get you some of the settings here to tell you a little bit more about the parameters. So on the parameter buttons, for button 1, when it's on room, it's a high gain, then we have the low gain, and then we have a drift that's added on the third button. So we're going to turn up the high and hear what it sounds like. So if you notice, the higher notes They sustain just a little bit longer with the high turned up. We're going to turn that back to noon. We're going to turn the low end up, and we'll play that same pattern. Again. If you notice, it has more of a bass or a low note sustained. The lower notes have just a little longer sustain on them when you have that up. Turn it back to noon. We're going to play with the drift. So again, it's at noon right now. We'll let you hear it. We're going to turn it up to 3 o'clock, see what it does. Turn it back to noon. Three o'clock again. It adds just a little bit of modulation, but it also gives you just a little bit longer sustain on it. That's playing with the drift. We're going to see what the mix does. We're going to play it at noon again. We're going to turn it up to the 3 o'clock position. So this actually takes the volume away on your actual strumming. The decay or sustain is definitely there, but it lessens the volume level. So we're going to do the 9 o'clock position. We'll see if the opposite comes true. Turn it to 12. Turn it to 3. So that's what your mix is going to do on that setting. We're going to go up again to the spring setting. So we have it on room right now. We're going to go to hall, then plate, then spring. Spring setting right now, everything's at noon except for the volume knob over here. The decay knob that's over here. Again, I call this setting more of a beach music type setting. So that's very common to what the beach music players use for their settings when they're playing it, is a spring type reverb. And usually what that allows them to do is when they actually hit their pedal or hit their spring reverb, it makes like a crashing sound, and they call it the tank. When they actually hit that tank, it does like a crash, which is kind of cool in some of the old beach music or some of the old themes where you hear them go down. And then it crashes right at the end there. So it's going, and then a crash. Unfortunately, this pedal does not do that. That's one thing that I wish they had built into it. Maybe they could have put it into the switch. So when you actually hit the switch, it would do that crash sound. There's a lot of reverb pedals out there that don't do that, unfortunately. They do a great job at reverb, but unfortunately that tank sound or the crash with the spring reverb, it's not usually there. But yeah, this is the M-VAVE or M-VAVE. It's the Mini Universe. It's the reverb pedal. One thing I might mention about this pedal is when you plug it in, currently we have it plugged into a power brick that we're using. And there's just a little bit of a humming noise when you're plugged into something like that, a power brick or a multi-unit or anything that has multiple DC outputs to your pedals. And I also have a tuner plugged in right now on the other side over here. But because that's all plugged in together, it kind of gives you a real high-pitched humming noise. One thing you can do to combat that with this particular pedal is if you plug it directly in using a 9-volt adapter. That adapter actually takes that humming noise away. I've tried it with different cables. I've tried it with different power sources, and that's what really works. I've read that on the internet in several places too, just to confirm what I was hearing and everything, and everybody seems to agree that a separate power source or a separate plug would be best for this particular pedal. So if you have another outlet, or you have, even what I have is I have the Strich power supply, and this particular power supply does have a 9-volt plug-in at the top. So if I had the, instead of plugged in down below where you see it's plugged in, if I had it plugged in with a 9-volt adapter, that actual little bit of a hum or buzz goes away. So that Strich, it's a SPS 20 for that power strip, and you can get that on Temu and or Amazon. It's not overly expensive. It's a great power supply to have. It does the job. So I'd highly recommend it. Again, the M-VAVE or M-VAVE Mini Universe reverb pedal. Nice sounds. Make sure you have that extra power supply so you don't have that buzzing or humming sound, because that would be terrible to come through out in the audience or anything, you know, going through the board or anything like that when you're producing the music. So go ahead, and if you like this video, hit the thumbs up down below. That's going to give us a like for our YouTube channel. Also, if you don't mind, I sure wish you would hit that subscribe button as well. That's going to help us out, get our numbers up, and build this channel. So we appreciate you stopping by today to take a look at this pedal, and we'll be bringing future pedals and some original music coming to you very soon. Again, my name is Sean Kirkham. I'm from Sean Kirkham Music. Have a great day.